I'm Rob Port from SayAnythingBlog.com, North Dakota's most popular political blog. I'm Rob Port here with North Dakota Governor Jack Dalrymple, who is running for a nomination to run for a term of his own for North Dakota Governor. Jack, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
You bet. Glad to be here.
I guess the first question is, what made you want to run for a term of your own? You, of course, stepped up to the governor position after being lieutenant governor under John Hoeven, who got elected to the U.S. Senate. You had a lengthy history in North Dakota state government. And, obviously, we came through a very tough summer in North Dakota in a lot of ways with the natural disasters and things going on. We have an oil boom, which is a very good thing, but it's also creating a lot of challenges in the state. So what made you decide that you wanted a term of your own as governor?
Well, Rob, I just feel that I can be a valuable asset to the state going forward, that my involvement in state government has been pretty close over the last 12 years, 10 years as lieutenant governor, and I worked, of course, very closely with John Hoeven. And we feel that the policies that we brought forward during the 2000s are working. We think our focus on creating good job opportunities is definitely, having a great result. And now as we look forward, we have some new decisions to make about how we invest our money, what we use it for, like tax cuts. And I think I'm in a position, I have the experience and the ability to lead North Dakota, through this important phase in our history.
What's one area we hear all the time about how good North Dakota's doing, and a lot of the praise is well deserved. We have a very good economy, very low unemployment rates. Put simply, we've got a lot of prosperity in the state. But if you had to mention one problem that the state is facing right now, what is it, and how do we fix it?
Well, our most recent challenges, Rob, have basically been in two categories, I think. One is flood impacts, and we are still, working very hard on a flood recovery up in Minot, to a lesser extent in places like Bismarck, Mandan, Valley City, Devil's Lake. But most of the state was impacted by floods in 2011, and that continues to be a challenge. The other big challenge is, of course, western North Dakota, and the pace of oil development in the Williston, Watford City area, and really all of the oil-producing counties has created a kind of a commotion in a speed of activity out there that is very disruptive and is very, very hard on some people. So we have been addressing the challenges that come with infrastructure, housing, law enforcement, safety, even emergency management services really are being worked on very intensely.
One criticism that we've heard from your competitor, assuming that you win the nomination at the state convention, Ryan Taylor has his party's nomination. He's going to be the Democratic opponent. And one criticism that he's made is that North Dakota has become a one-party state, that it's too large, and even sort of insinuating some level of corruption. What would you respond? How would you respond to that sort of criticism?
Well, I think it's simply not true. I've been around state government for many years. I find that our part-time legislators and our elected officials really have excellent integrity. I see people that are very committed to, maintaining fairness and equity in everything that they do. And if you could be around like groups of Republicans up at the Capitol, I think you'd be surprised at how much disagreement they manage to generate amongst themselves at times. It's by no means 100% agreement on everything.
What about some criticism that has come from conservatives at times that North Dakota is spending too much money. And obviously, and I think we can both stipulate maybe to the fact that you don't see the sort of growth in the economy and growth in the population that North Dakota has seen, in large part due to the oil boom and other factors, without needing to grow government to some extent. But some people say it's just too much. We're growing faster than the federal government. How would you respond to that criticism?
Well, I think you really have to do your accounting carefully and, be sure you know what you're talking about when you talk about increases in spending. I constantly try to make a distinction with people between the ongoing program spending that we have established as part of our base and one-time infrastructure spending and capital improvement spending that we do only when we have cash reserves and we know we don't have to repeat that expenditure again in the future. I think if you look back over the last 10 years, you will see a lot of investments in infrastructure and capital improvements. You also see, of course, over the last two bienniums, a big investment in property tax relief, which, is not really, program spending. It is spending, yes, but it's spending for the purpose of tax relief. And we also know that, the federal government has been leaving us in the lurch the last several bienniums by reducing again and again the amount of cost share that they have allowed us. And that puts us constantly in a dilemma of whether we're going to continue important programs like Medicaid and Medicare, but at a higher state cost share. So there's a lot to kind of, take into account there, but the basic principle is ongoing program spending should never exceed our ongoing revenue collections.
When you say, the ongoing spending versus the one-time spending, it's a little hard sometimes to ferret that out when we're seeing budget increases that are biennium over biennium, double-digit increases, in the realm of 24, 25%. How does one-time spending fit into that picture when, even though it may be one-time spending, we seem to be doing more one-time spending every biennium?
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I think that, what we do next time will depend on the circumstances then. And the last few bienniums, we have been seeing some remarkable prosperity in North Dakota. Our revenues have been, dramatically exceeding our forecasts. And what happens is that at the end of the biennium, you've accumulated more cash than you expected to. But at that point in time, the question is, what do you do with it? And, we have, in the last few sessions said, we feel that one-time spending on roads and highways, reducing property taxes, and things of that nature are fine. And what happens next biennium will depend entirely on whether or not we are financially capable of doing some more things.
One question I wanted to ask you about was property taxes specifically. I know Measure 2 is going to be on the ballot to abolish property taxes. I think that whatever you may think of Measure 2, obviously property taxes are an area where there's a lot of public consternation, I think, maybe for lack of a better term. What do you see the need for any additional, aside from what the state government's already done, for any additional reform on property taxes or any other sort of tax relief?
Well, I think tax relief continues to be a major goal of my administration, and I fully expect that we will be able to do more in the future based on the forecasts that I see. Property taxes are probably the least popular of all the taxes that we have. That's certainly the one that we hear the most about. I think that we can do more on property tax relief, and some of this may have to be statutory change with the legislature. But Measure 2, unfortunately, I feel goes too far. It eliminates, the entire concept of property taxes in the state. And that creates a whole nother set of problems with governance and how you manage all of those local decisions that I think is not the right way to go.
One final question. I know you're a busy guy, and by the way, I understand you're going to be up here in Minot celebrating the opening of some businesses that were closed down by the flood. So maybe I could just get your comments. It's we're a year later past the flooding in Minot and of course Bismarck and other parts of the state. Can you give us a look forward as to how things are going with the recovery and things like that from the flooding?
Well, Minot is really a fantastic community, and yes, I'm coming up to take a look at the Arrowhead Plaza, which is reopening officially. I was there when you couldn't see the Arrowhead Plaza because there was so much water in that area. And, for people to come back and get that completely rehabilitated and opened up is really a fantastic statement about the determination of the people up there in Minot. From what I see, this recovery, as big an undertaking as it is definitely going on, and I believe people are determined to get their homes and businesses back the way they want them.
Final question: You obviously have some competition for the nomination for the Republican Party, Paul Sorum. How would you contrast yourself with Mr. Sorum? What in your mind makes you the better choice over him for the party's nomination?
Well, I don't know. I think I just have to emphasize the things that I think are important, and continuing to create job opportunities, taking advantage of our situation now to make long-term investments in infrastructure and to cut taxes is where we should focus our attention. And I would simply say that I think Jack Dalrymple has the experience and the ability to lead the state in that effort.
Governor, thank you very much for your time.
You bet, Rob. Glad to talk to you anytime. Hope to see you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you.